It's recording.
All right, my name is Matt Bonasera. I'm the class of 2002, and currently I'm the enterprise architect at InTech Energy, which is a small software energy efficiency company. When I left here, I had actually already started at Dynegy as an intern. So I think that was a really wonderful thing. So I was actually in what was called Mu Iota Sigma at the time. It was an MIS honors program, and they had actually been touched by Dynegy, which was a major energy project. They were actually, if you remember Enron and the movie Smartest Guys in the Room, so Dynegy was the number 2 player, and they had actually reached out to me. I didn't even know about them. They said, we'd like to offer them an internship, which was amazing. And so I was there, and this is actually, I remember I was at U of H when 9/11 happened. I remember actually walking through the UC and seeing on the TV the Twin Towers falling. And so this is a very tumultuous time, and the economy really took a major crater during that period. And it was really tough to find jobs, but luckily I had an internship, and I had parlayed that into a full-time position afterward. So while many people were unemployed, I was very fortunate to be employed by a company that was at least investing in me at the time. So I left here, but what got me hired was not my entrepreneurship degree, but my MIS degree. So that was my start in sort of software. And then from there, I went on to several other companies. I left there and went on to a mortgage company where I started writing software. But I think that something that we discussed briefly before was, a lot of people think I got out of the entrepreneurship program and to immediately go start a business. And that is absolutely not what you should be doing. Not that that's your passion. You've got the in. I'm not going to discourage anybody, but I would highly advise against it, just because you don't know enough. You don't have any hard skills to bring value to that business, and I think that's a true challenge. So entrepreneurship is amazing. You learn a great deal while you're here. You meet great people, but you're still too young in your career to be running any business. No one's going to give you a multi-million-dollar loan and let you go start a business. They would never trust you with that, nor would they trust you with their multi-million-dollar business, nor should they. You wouldn't want that responsibility. So what are you going to do? So you need to go out and spend some time in the world, learning about the world, learning about business, adding to your connections, adding to your skill sets, adding to your hard skills, adding to your soft skills. And then you can parlay that when the time is right. So many people say luck is about, people say you make your own luck, right? And so I think luck is really just being in the right place at the right time with the right skill. And that's what I did. And that has put me where I am today, where I'm now a partner in a small software company. I've been there for 5 years now, which is longer ago, longest I've ever been anywhere. So it's been interesting, but I will not say this. It's not a linear journey for entrepreneurship. I think part of it is where you go and you learn, and then you may try something, and then you go and you learn, and you may try something. So you think if you reach the threshold to begin, right? Like, I'm ready to go do my own thing. I'm going to be in charge, and I will assure you that starting your own company is like having twin babies by yourself. They scream and cry all day, all night. It is exhausting. You go through these, it's like elation and then, depression, and it's awful. Like, it's awful and it's wonderful. And I think, when you decide to jump off and put basically everything you own in your life into a company, it's exhilarating. The problem is that, are you really looking at it critically? And I think it's hard to look at it dispassionately. And I think that's where it's really important to have advisors and other people who can advise you on whether you should or should not be doing this, and is this really the right thing? So it really takes a critical mass of skill sets to start doing the work, to really want to start your own business, but I think it's critical that you have others around you who advise you and can be willing to really say, don't do this. Like, this is a bad idea. I mean, if you do not have a naysayer, that's a problem. One of the things that I would advise for all entrepreneurship students is you need really to have a hard skill. And I think that's a critical thing. Whether you get it out of here or in school, doesn't matter. But what do you bring to the table besides this broad depth of knowledge of how to sort of, these thoughts around running a businesses and looking for things and looking for the niche, which I think has been invaluable in my career. But you need a hard skill if you're really going to start your own business. And when you get to that point where you're ready to start it, that's a really scary and exciting point. And so it's good to have people around you who can advise you and give you guidance. Mentorship is the most important thing you can get. And I still get mentorship in multiple ways. I get technical mentors, business mentors, life mentors. If you're not in therapy, get therapy now, immediately. All of you go get a therapist. You're going to need it, for sure. just take the medication, you'll be better off, trust me. But just get therapy. Everybody should take it. Everybody needs therapy. I did. I met my wife here. When I first started the program, I was sitting in the back of the room and she was this hot Asian chick in the front. And I was like, I really think that lady is pretty. And it took me about 6 months to get her to notice me. And actually, that was at the retreat when I finally actually really got her to notice me. So that was really awesome. And that was really kind of a magical time. And then she was actually engaged at the time. She actually was completely engaged. I really had this thing for her, but I was like, we have to wait. And it ended up that about 6 months after we graduated, she broke up with her fiance and called me, and then we started dating. So it was this whole really bizarre mix of emotions and things. But I still to this day can remember seeing her in our first class and thinking, wow, that girl is a knockout, and she's really smart, and she's brilliant. And so now I'm now married to a very brilliant, smart woman who is truly the boss. So she's actually the director of finance for a company that does medical monitoring, so sort of IoT devices and monitoring of health patients. And she's brilliant. I mean, they couldn't live without her. She does like 30 jobs at once. And she also has an entrepreneurship, but she got a double major in finance, and I got a double major in MIS. And so I think both of us having hard skills, because she left here going into accounting and finance. And then in many ways, I think her entrepreneurial ability has helped her in her job because she sees things from a different light. I think that's one of the powers of entrepreneurship, is that you start to really look at things differently. Like, where's the marketing? Where's the accounting? Where's the finance? Right? Are they using GAAP accounting? Why are they not? Why is this guy mixing their personal account with the business account? Like, even the most craziest things you're like, how is that possible that you don't know this? And you'd be amazed that so many people are isolated in their own skill sets. They don't know all of these other areas that you in entrepreneurship get exposed to. And I think that's really what I think is extremely powerful about entrepreneurship. It's not that you become an expert in any of them, but you get enough to know, I don't know. And I think that's a really powerful thing, is knowing what you don't know. Like, I know just enough about accounting to really know that I don't know enough about accounting, and I should go find the right person, right? Where if you don't know anything, you have this incredible amount of confidence. So I don't know if you've ever read about Dunning-Kruger. Do you know what the Dunning-Kruger effect is? So I would highly recommend everybody go look up the Dunning-Kruger effect. It's a Nobel Prize. It's a Nobel Prize winning piece of science that has now been replicated many times over, and it explains the problem why people with very little experience have extreme amounts of confidence. Really, it shows this curve, this graph that goes like this. And what it is it's experience and confidence. And so with very little experience, you have a very high amount of confidence. And as you start to understand something more, your confidence drops off significantly. And then it sort of plateaus out here. And most people are like that when we do something. We do something just a little bit and we think, wow, I get it. And then after another year or two, you're like, wow, I know nothing. And that drop is called the valley of despair. And that's just where you're just like, I realize I'm way in over my head. And then many, many years later, you get to what's called, it's complicated. And I think that's great, because I love the fact that when you're really good at something that you've been doing for many, many years, and someone says, so tell me how you do that. The real answer is, it's complicated. And it's even worse when you start your own company and you're the one that's responsible for everybody's paychecks. I mean, when I started my first business, I had my dad put his house up as collateral for the loan, and he handed me the check when I walked out of the bank, and he said, don't lose my house. So that was terrifying. That moment sunk into me in a way that I can't quite explain. And I'd never worked so hard in my life. And my dad came to see me about 6 months later. He's a pilot. And he looked at me and said, you look terrible. And I said, I'm killing myself. I don't want to lose your house. And he was like, well, you don't kill yourself in the process, son. And I realized at that moment that I had completely bit off the acid more than I could chew. And I had made a huge mistake. I had decided that I wanted something without truly knowing how to do it. And sort of that classic, why would you not go practice something for a couple of years under somebody else's money and experience and learn? So yeah, we all suffer from imposter syndrome. We all many times get into those situations. And the goal, I think, of entrepreneurship, and I think what hopefully you all will learn from this program, is that if you don't know a lot of things, you should go find them out, or you should reach out to people who do. And I think that's another challenge in, I think, your entrepreneurial journey, and kind of what you want to do is finding people who are complementary skill sets. I actually started a manufacturing business. It was a motorcycle manufacturing business. I was racing motorcycles professionally. I had a pro MA Superbike license, and I was crashing a lot. And motorcycle road racing bikes are covered in fiberglass. And so a guy I knew had made a mold, and he and I became partners in this business, and we were selling fiberglass bodywork. And I bought him out, and I needed money to do it. And so my dad gave me the money to do it. And I grew the business 600% in 3 years, and was selling all over the world. And it was killing me. And I decided I did not want to do this business any longer. It was a very cyclical business. It was challenging, but I made the massive mistake of going undercapitalized, which is one of the first mistakes you'll make in all businesses. And I was ready to sell it. So I did. I sold it to a guy in Austin, and he gave me motorcycles as payment because he didn't have cash. So I took his motorcycles. He gave me 6 motorcycles. And then I found out about 6 months later, he burned the company to the ground. No, and I mean physically. Like, no, it was a fire. The whole thing went up in smoke. Like, it was a 3-alarm fire because it was vinyl ester resin and epoxy resins, which are extremely flammable. And so because you want resins to cure, fiberglass cures, you have heating booths to kind of cure the product. And so somehow it started a massive fire, and it was a 3-alarm fire. Like multiple fire trucks from multiple fire companies had to show up to put out the fire. So he literally burned it to the ground. So all of my work literally went up in smoke. So there you go. One thing that I think many people struggle with, especially I did it when I was early, it's called the sunk cost fallacy. Have you heard of that? Sunk cost fallacy. Sunk cost fallacy means that at any point in time, if you are investing in something and you realize that it will never succeed, continuing to put money in it is a waste. Now that sounds completely logical, right? If you knew the ship was sinking, right, like it's going down, and you're on the Titanic, you would stop investing in the Titanic, right? You have no idea how many people keep investing all the way down with every dollar they have because they cannot see. They look back and they say, but I've already got $1 million in it. I got $1 million in it. I got years in this thing. I can't let it go. Sunk cost fallacy. They're struggling with the idea that they've already sunk money into it, and they're hoping to go a little bit farther to get that money out. It's the gambler's addiction. It's why a gambler sits at the table and thinks he's going to get it back in the next couple of hands. So it's very hard for people to really separate their emotions from reality and being able to say, hey, look, I don't think this is going to work. I need to go do something else. I need to stop wasting my time. Now, that doesn't mean you can't go through hard times and you can't struggle, but you need to be able to set a goal and a value. Like, why am I here? What is my threshold before I say I've made a mistake and I need to make a change? Like, you need to be ready and have to go and struggle through this. Like, you will have those days where you're broke. Like, everything you have is in this business. And then being able to look at it and say, I need to walk away. Like, I need to get out of this. I need to go do something else. This is not going to be what I need to do. And that's hard. And I almost did that with my own company. I made a company for 5 years. Literally almost 8 months ago, I pulled the owner aside and I said, I've been working on this product for 4 years now. And we're not making sales. It's possible it's the product. But I have $2 billion products under my belt already. They're right now in production. There are 2 systems I worked on in the past 10 years that are doing $4.5 billion a year revenue through them. So I said it's possible it's the product, but I don't think it's the product. I think we're not making sales, and I think it's you guys. It's the sales team. And either we make sales by end of year, or I go. Because I can no longer support putting an exorbitant amount of sweat equity into this company. And he made a change. They were able to make some adjustments. So I have delayed my resignation because things are different. And hopefully they will continue to improve, and then I will remain. Otherwise, I will go, right? And you should too. You should always be thinking about where you go next. And are you? And is this the right place, or is it time to leave? And that's a tough thing. It's a tough thing to do. I think we won. And I think we won because, again, this is something I've been doing for many years. So I think we had a leg up on the competition. A lot of these people don't have the experience that our business has. And 2, I've had a lot of experience in sales and pitching things, and I think that helped. So the first company that pitched and went out, they actually had a really good business idea. They were like the Uber of commercial trucking. Like you take a picture on your phone and they give you an estimate like how long it would take to move a big piece of equipment to another place. It's very clever, and they actually were already making money. And when I saw the guy at the place, he was like, "Yo, man, high five!" And, yeah, man, he was always broing out with Raheel and everybody. Yeah, bro, yeah, man, it's great, yeah. And then he was all like, "Yeah, man, I didn't even practice, man. I'm just gonna wing. I'm the king of wing." And I was listening. I was like, "I don't think that's gonna work too well." But hey, maybe I'm wrong, right? I mean, I think as you get older, you learn that you could be wrong. So I was like, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe this guy is just gonna be super smooth. And he got up there and he did his presentation, and because everybody got one test run, and he was awful. Like he couldn't even remember his name. He couldn't remember if he had 2 left feet. Like, he was all over the place, and he was trying to introduce this guy and then call it back. I mean, it was the deck was messed up. It was a joke. And I was watching. I was thinking, of all of these people, he was the one I was most worried about. His business idea was, in my opinion, the strongest. And then he got up on the stage and just blew it. And the guy's probably making $1.5 million a year. Well, he's probably making profit right now. He's probably doing great, but he blew the pitch. So what I guess I'm pointing about what these pitch events are about is you can have a great business idea and lose the pitch, or you can have a great business idea, or you can have a crappy business idea and win the pitch. Now, do I think we have a good business idea? Yes, I think we did well. But I will tell you, I practiced my pitch 250 times at least. I sat in front of a camera and went nonstop talking. Again, pitching, timing, pitching, timing, pitching, timing. And I think that's really important. That's what you do, right? I mean, these pitch events, you have a very tight time frame to pitch, and I think it's important to do that. We won. That was exciting. A bunch of cocktails and drinks. I don't think I've gotten a single sale off it yet. I've had some interest. I've had people talk to us, and I had a couple of vulture capitalists call, and I immediately turned them away because I said I'm not interested in somebody offering me money without more help. A lot of times they just want to take your company and scavenge you, and that was not my interest. So I do think that Code Launch was a great thing. I think it helped sort of focus our pitch a bit. I think a bunch of the research was really great. But I caution you, again, a pitch is a pitch. Then you have to do something with it. If it generates some interest, and it did, I think that's great. But we're still in the process of trying to leverage it. It's only been a couple of months. So the deals that we work on can sometimes be $500,000. Nobody's gonna hand you $500,000 after a pitch. So most of the deals that we would close would take longer. But I think it was great. I'm really excited. I was really glad it went so well.